Detective John Wedger is a highly decorated, whistleblowing, recently retired Metropolitan Police officer. John believes he was forced into retirement because he had been very active investigating dark secrets of the powerful concerning paedophilia and SRA, satanic ritual abuse. In the film you're about to watch, filmmaker and victim of UK British government child abuse Bill Maloney interviews John a few days after John has completed a 300-mile charity walk from London to Manchester in his quest to extinguish the dark with the light.
Victims a voice as well.
Yeah.
But one of the most important things to me as a victim, John, is that you are encouraging police officers that are whistleblowers to come forward, because there is so much information out there that we will never know unless they come out.
I'm a police whistleblower. Now, I faced total and utter bullying, adversity in order to have my voice, and it's all about being vocal.
Yeah.
You know, there was no way I was going to keep my mouth shut, but only in respect to what was right.
Yeah.
Now, if they can silence me, it's not just me. I found that in doing this, others came forward, other police officers who had experienced, in some cases, worse than what I've been through, but on the whole, almost identical sort of campaign of bullying. What chance do victims have? You know, and the reason we come forward is because how the victims were being treated. You know, and it's not just about people's inactions, it's also about their actions. You know, and it's wrong. It's wrong on every conceivable level.
But it's also the subject itself, John. People are frightened of that subject.
Well,
and something that we, both you and I, believe goes on, and we actually know it goes on. SRA.
Yeah.
Satanic ritual abuse. Now that goes on, John.
Well, this is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
This is the elephant in the room. I think any act of sexual crime against a child has got a deep, dark, satanic element to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of the things that the more you look into it, the more it crops up.
Yeah.
You know, and there is an organised element to it. Similar to what I found with the child prostitution, is that the victims would be used then to groom other kids involved.
Yeah.
And it's the same as on that list. It was like the victims of this were being used then to lure in people that of the similar background, the same ilk. And this is what grooming is.
Yeah.
You know, they're going about groomers and monsters. Well, you know, the thing is with it, a monster cannot groom a child.
Yeah.
You need someone that's endearing to that child.
Yeah.
We used to call them Romeos.
Yeah.
These lads would come in, and on one occasion it was a woman, and just show a lot of compassion and a lot of love, because he's a kid has contacted me.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said, you know, if they can do this to me as a chief constable, God only knows what they've been doing to you.
Yeah.
And he said to me, what do I expect to happen? And I said, they'll come for you, Mike.
Yeah.
They'll come for you like they came for everyone. You know, like Lenny Harper with the Hope de la Garenne in Jersey.
Death threats to Lenny.
Lenny suffered death threats.
Just like to mention a guy called Ray Stevenson. Now, Ray Stevenson is a black guy of Jamaican origin, I believe, and he was a victim at Shirley Oaks as well, the same as I was. And Ray, I'm going to give you a big thumbs up, mate, because you got some bollocks as well.
Can I say about with the Shirley Oaks team? You know, the Shirley Oaks team is an inspiration for anyone who wants to stand up. Yeah. You know, because we're standing up as police whistleblowers. Ray and the gang are standing up as victims. You know, and so many of the victims that you know they fall trap to alcoholism, drug addiction, and everything else. Yeah. And you know, they then become, in the eyes of law, not credible people, because they end up committing crimes on the whole. Minor crimes of dishonesty, everything else, and the criminal justice system will then denigrate them instantly. Yeah. But what Ray's done is banded people together, and they have moved a mountain. Yeah, of course. Legally, they moved a mountain
and exposed people.
And exposed it. Yeah. And also, it gives people hope. Yeah. And it shows what you can do when you're all pushing the right direction.
Yeah. I would like you, whether you're retired police officers or serving police officers, to really stand up for one of your own because you all had dreams when you joined the police. You was all doing it for good reasons.
And because I, at the time, started working with the investigating the paedophiles and the sex offenders, I had a lot of informants.
Yeah.
And they started telling me about the care system.
So you were terrified then?
Shocking. Because
Yeah.
I knew it, and one of them said, whatever you do, them kids don't go into care. And that was never the option. And I went through the family courts, and the kids stayed with me. That if they know that your father's an alcoholic, or your mother's not there, or your mother's an alcoholic and your father's not there, they know no one's coming for you. There's no big brother going to turn up and start punching people up.
Yeah, yeah.
They know that they can pick on you. People, the public are the arbiters, that these people in these positions of power, this is what they do to us. And it's the fear they instill. And what I will say, like Bill was saying about the cops coming forward, drop the fear.
But the thing is, John, and I understand this 100%, that police officers are terrified of being sent to prison. That is your worst hold against them. Because can you imagine if John was to go and get a bit of bird, as we say, like maybe a year, 2 years or something like that, well, everyone would want to kill him in there who wasn't a police officer, trust me.
Well, for instance, London was gripped with heroin addiction and crack cocaine. It's really, so the crack wars were sort of like booming in London. But when you actually took the time out to speak to the addicts, they'd all come from the care system. And it was a no-brainer that the child abuse seemed to be the core of it. And I sussed that very early on in my career. And it was weird where the police put their resources, and it wasn't on child protection, it was away from child protection. And when I did end up
but there were members of the police that were involved physically in sex abuse rings.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
No two ways about it.
No two ways about it. No two ways about it. And you have to ask yourself the question, why would anyone want to suppress this information and bully the source of this information? Why? When I spoke to all these whistleblowing coppers that I've been speaking to, and there's quite a few now, like I said, there's an algorithm of bullying. We've all been bullied and threatened in exactly the same way. You can't even get a cigarette paper between the differences. As we've gone on this walk, we've been speaking to people, we've been speaking to a lot of victims of abuse, but also members of the public. Everyone, 100% is behind us.
Yeah. How
is this not a story?
Yeah.
How is it not a story? I mean, you know, and people, like I've said all along, you can do what you want to children. There's no police units dedicated to deal with it, right? And also, the public aren't interested. If you speak about this, people go, can we not talk about it, please? Yeah. But a couple of years ago, a woman was caught on CCTV throwing a cat in a wheelie bin.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's right, and I'm not saying, well, it's obviously wrong, but, you know, it's still quite a minor thing she did. Yeah. They had to move her. She had to go into witness protection type sort of protection to be moved from her home because of the death threats. Yeah. That outraged the nation. Yeah. How is that comparable to the rape and the murder of children?
John Wedger is an ex-Scotland Yard detective, and he's one of a number of police whistleblowers I'm talking to.
Finding the attention of the senior management, I was aggressively threatened and bullied with the, threatened with the loss of my job, my children and my home if I ever exposed what I'd found out. And I was told by someone who is now one of the UK's most senior officers that if ever I mentioned a word of it, that I would be thrown to the wolves, and that I could potentially F the police force, and we know what that means, past, present and future. What I know cannot and will not ever get out.
When you took those findings to your senior officers, the senior management, what were you expecting them to say?
I was expecting to be praised. Naively thought I'd be praised. I really thought that I'd given them the goose that's given them the golden eggs. And how I was treated and his reaction was an absolute inversion of what I was expecting.
So
I drafted a report. It was very concise and it was factually based, and it highlighted the plight of these children, and their ages ranged from 9 to 14 years old, and they were being pimped out. They were all on Class A drugs. A very well respected detective actually was at the centre of a campaign of bullying, for he was exposing corruption within the flying squad, and they pushed this poor man to the point of suicide, so I knew what they were capable of. It happened to me. They isolate you, they put you in fear of your own safety, they then start implementing a campaign of bullying against you, which results in you being investigated for spurious offences. With me, on 3 occasions, there were a collection of offences which numbered up to nine offences against me, all nonsensical, but they all could have got me a prison sentence. So I was looking at, as a single parent, going to prison. I had my wages withheld for 3 years, and there was an attempt to remove my youngest son from my care. So there was nothing that these people would stop at in an attempt to silence me. And subsequently, in the last few years, I have teamed up with other police whistleblowers, all of which have exposed child prostitution cover-ups, and some of them child murder, in the case of Lenny Harper, and every single one has been attacked in, if not an identical or more severe manner than myself.
If you're a child in care, it means that there's no one looking out for you, basically. No one's going to be looking after you.
There is a Chief Constable called Mike Veal who came forward and exposed similar crimes, and the attack from him came higher up, and it came from the House of Lords and the security services, and he's actually come to us as a collective of police whistleblowers and actually asked what he is to expect. And I boldly told him, Mike, they will come for you like they've come for all of us. So they don't care, what rank we are. What they don't want is any of us having a moral compass and speaking out against this, the most vilest of crimes.
I have numerous examples of these networks of abuse and the individuals involved publicly exposed on my websites. Since I have been non-violently campaigning in and around Edinburgh against these crimes, I have been arrested around 8 times by Lothian and Borders Police over the last 2 years. Although I have been charged with breach of the peace and failing to give a DNA sample on each of these arrests, I have been found guilty on only one charge of breach of the peace, of which I was admonished. The circumstances to my last arrest, however, were a little different. I was arrested for taking video footage of a corrupt police officer who had previously falsified criminal charges and blatantly lied in court toward my possible conviction and imprisonment. After being arrested by this police officer for this action, I was remanded in jail before being taken in front of Procurator Fiscal Smith at the Edinburgh Sheriff Court. Procurator Fiscal Smith immediately lied to the court by stating that I had a history of similar offences, conveniently omitting the fact that I had been found not guilty on all charges bar one. The Procurator Fiscal then, while mumbling under his breath so that I would not be able to hear him, suggested that, because of my history, I should be detained for psychiatric reports. Along with my trial, which was a kangaroo court, as well as this corrupt act to veil the truth, I am presently being detained in the Royal Edinburgh Hospital in a clinic for the criminally insane. Since my 3 months incarceration as a political prisoner, I have also been forcibly injected 9 times against my will with high doses of antipsychotic drugs, whilst being held down by numerous hospital staff. This major human rights abuse for taking video footage of a corrupt police officer is just one of the numerous cover-ups toward my dedication to expose government child abuse. I should be out in the street non-violently campaigning and not incarcerated and drugged up like an insane criminal. Please do whatever you can to rectify this matter, not for my sake, but for all the children who deserve safety and justice for the crimes perpetrated against them.